I remember hearing the story that you're officiating weddings for the first time, and this was now it feels like yesterday, but man, this has to be now over 10 years.
No, weddings have just been like 5 or 6 years.
Okay,
Yeah, that's why we first met. I think it was like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
I think we're missing some years.
time is kind of like blurry, but I started heavily practicing yoga now over 10 years ago. And we met each other fairly early on into my scene, so to speak. And then at one of the locations downtown, I remember, and then seeing you had mentioned it to me, and then I saw it online on Instagram, and I'm like, wow, Jonny is doing weddings. And
I am.
if there's a person I ever met that thought, you know what, calm, cool presence, bring it together, I could see it. And then I saw some of your work, and I loved it. I thought it was a great idea. What possessed you to want to do this and to help people? Like, where did it come to you?
Yeah, this again, it wasn't me. I didn't think this was a thing. I didn't know it was a thing. But two people asked me, Jonny, we want you to be the one to marry us. Well, I'm like, I'm not a wedding officiant. I'm not licensed to do this.
How did you know these people? Like, how did they come to
They're
you?
friends. They're friends of mine. Friends of mine wanted me to marry them. And, they said, look, we're going to take care of the legal another way, but we want you to be the one to hold the space for us on our wedding day.
And you had never done this before. You had never raised it before. They just all of a sudden got inspired out of nowhere. Jonny.
It's a thing, it's a thing to get your friend to officiate the wedding. It's still very popular. You get a friend or a family member because you don't, you want to have somebody that officiate the wedding. Or just,
Maybe I don't have a lot of great friends out there, but I don't have one friend I'm thinking of, man, I want this person to stand here and marry me off. No, that never occurred to me.
Well, remember, I'm holding space for people all day long, teaching them yoga.
Yes.
I'm at the front of the room. I'm holding space for people and helping them connect their breathing and their body. That's what I do. So I'm sure somebody was like, hey, I want Jonny to be the one to hold space for us when we make this connection. He's obviously, he knows how to hold space for people and allow them to help make them a connection. So we want to transfer that into our marriage. Once I did that wedding, people found out. Then people started thinking I did this. You know how that sometimes happens? So then another couple asked me, hey, can you marry us? I'm like, look, I'm not a wedding officiant. I just did it this one time. Then when the second person asked me, I was like, okay, I got to look into this. And then I looked into how to become a licensed wedding officiant in Ontario. It's quite challenging, but I was able to figure it out based on my values and how I wanted to do things. And I did it. And then once that started, then the floodgates just opened. And I've done a lot of weddings now, like over 1,000.
Over 1,000 weddings.
Yeah.
Wow. That's one of my questions.
Yeah.
I had to know that part of it. So you did the first wedding. You're not licensed.
It's just help them make the connection.
Just making a connection. That's in. Then somebody else asks you, and then. So how long was the process to actually get certified in Ontario to do this?
Yeah, so that's that's a really interesting question. Yeah. I can't really speak for all organizations, but the organization I'm with is called Humanist Canada.
Okay.
So this is the organization I found that was in line with my values, my ethics. Beautiful organization, and their members or people that go through their training are legally allowed to perform weddings in Ontario. So I joined them. I became, I learned about them. I was with them as a member for, I would say about over a year. Once I did that, then I enrolled in their officiant training. And then from there, I got licensed by the Ontario government, and then I was able to start doing weddings. So it was almost a 2-year process.
Okay, fair enough. Now, are you able to do weddings outside of Ontario as well, or just Ontario?
No, only in Ontario.
Only Ontario.
Yeah, laws in Canada is by province by province.
Yes, and especially you go out west and BC, they do their own thing. Go to Quebec, they're very much their own thing.
Yeah, they do their own thing. You can get. I've heard these stories about Quebec. I should know more about it, but I think you can just get like a 1-day licensing.
I'm not surprised.
Like a one-off or something. I don't know. They have a different thing than Ontario.
So based on the timing you're doing this for a little bit of time, and all of a sudden the loveliness that is COVID hits.
Yes.
So how was it to do weddings during COVID times?
5 people. Remember? There were always 5 people.
Right.
You got a bride.
Yes.
You got a groom.
Yes.
You got an officiant. You got 2 witnesses. That's all you need.
That's the wedding.
It never went lower than 5.
Yes. Okay.
So as long as we had 5, we could still have ceremonies.
How many COVID weddings would you say you've done? Can you estimate that?
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I was doing weddings still almost every single week
Oh,
there.
it's still regular. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, maybe, yeah, but I don't, winter it's tough, but I don't know. Definitely like 50.
And then it wasn't that long ago now that things had opened up and now we're back to full swing. That must have been a great feeling for your parties when they would have
Hmm.
actual real ceremonies, real
Hmm.
parties again, right?
Well, I saw the whole thing. Like I remember because everything shut down on that Monday.
Yes.
And I remember officiating that Saturday night. Or even, yeah, it was the Saturday night. And it was weird. That Saturday night wedding before the Monday.
Yes.
It was like nobody quite knew what was going on, and they were all celebrating. There was no mass, like everyone was, and they just got it in. And I remember all the ceremonies after that, just having to shuffle everyone's dates, and everyone had to shuffle all of their vendors, and it was intense, but I got through it just slow and steady.
One of the things I loved going to your yoga classes
Hmm.
is the talks before,
Hmm.
the talks during, the talks
Hmm.
after.
Hmm.
I felt very motivated coming out of there.
Hmm.
You were always very good as far as speaking wise and spreading positivity in the
Hmm.
class, and I would come out with a good energy.
Hmm.
I've watched a little bit of videos as far as people's ceremonies go and people that have posted and tagged you in there. And I'm seeing a lot of the same stuff. The energy that you brought forth in yoga, you're bringing it into weddings. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, totally. That's what I do. I help people. I hold space for the people, and I'm there to help facilitate it. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Hmm.
One of the things we call this the chosen life
Hmm.
is because people finding their chosen life, their chosen journey, so to speak.
Yeah.
And to hear, starting off in chemistry, finding a
Hmm.
way to yoga, finding
Hmm.
your way to weddings,
Hmm.
you never know where life is going to hit that way.
No.
But yet you find your calling, so to speak, and it
Hmm.
just seems so natural. Like when I see the pictures of you with the bride and groom, this seems like the most natural thing for me in the world.
Yeah, me too. I love it. Like I wake up when I've got weddings to do. I mean, I'm excited. I love meeting the couples. I love hearing their stories and helping them with their ceremonies, and then getting there the day of and just being there and all the different emotions, and being there to help support them through all those emotions if they're nervous or excited, like whatever all the emotions are, and to be there and to hold the space for them and to help them make that connection and to get them to the other side. I always tell couples, I'm like, just imagine you're on first class on an airplane, and I'm your pilot. We're gonna land this thing. You just sit in those chairs. You enjoy your wedding. Enjoy the connection. I'm gonna make sure this plane lands, and people seem to kind of like that feeling that they know I'm gonna take care of the situation.
Imagine like their happiest moments, like
Hmm.
going back to watch the video. They have pictures up in their house
Hmm.
and you're there. You got to enjoy those moments with them and you're
Hmm.
embedded into their lives
Hmm.
forever. That must be a
Yeah,
great feeling.
yeah. It's incredible. It's a great yeah. It's great.
And then what is that feeling with those couples when they finally have children and then you get to see the children that were produced from the marriage that you officiated? That must blow your mind.
Yeah, the whole thing, it's incredible. I love, yeah, seeing how it all blossoms, and then they have the kids, and then yeah, it's incredible.
Imagine one day, because you're young enough,
Hmm.
you're one day going to officiate a wedding
Hmm.
for someone that you married off their parents, more than likely. It's going to
Yeah.
happen.
Well, what's even starting to happen now, because I've been teaching yoga for almost 20 years, is I used to teach pregnant women, right?
Yes.
And pregnant women would come into class. Well, now those kids are teenagers. Like it's incredible. I haven't really had any of them come through yoga classes yet, but yeah, it's a very similar thing.
And you see them and you can remember that they were pregnant like yesterday.
Yeah,
And time
everything feels like yesterday.
and time just literally goes into a blur.
Time goes into a blur, yeah.